Good afternoon, everyone. This is Evan Lorenz alongside Kyle Hoyer, and this is Radio Free Decipher.
Those stories and more as we, no.
Sorry, we're kind of on a sports night kick recently.
Yeah.
This is like so not related to anything, but they've recently come out on DVD, and it was a fun little show that lasted like 2 years, and you can get them all in one box set. And we would do a sports night CCG if we could, but no. Anyway.
You know what all of our topics are today on RFD?
Well, no, I don't know any of our topics. I'm trying to glance over. I'm getting back in the swing. You know, we all had our time off last week for our American holiday, our Thanksgiving, and I was out of town.
That's right.
And you were at home watching a 24
That's right.
marathon.
We the TV show 24, we have it on DVD, and we've taped all of this season's episodes, and we watched a grand total of 29 episodes of 24 in a row. Yeah,
that's intense. You're crazy.
We started on Thursday afternoon and didn't finish until Friday evening.
Nice. So how about some stuff that has to do with Decipher?
All right.
All right.
Well, today's show, like I said, is we don't really have a lot of really good topics.
Yeah, I mean,
well, not to say not good, but to say it's not like earth-shattering or anything.
Yeah, the thing is, we can't come in and talk too much about second edition because the spoiler goes up today. The entire card spoiler of all 415 cards.
So I'm sure all of you are busy reading that as opposed to listening to us, but we have some very interesting information. I was upstairs just a little while ago, and I was talking to Brian Kallenbach,
who has undertaken this rather cool project.
And that's exactly what I wanted to talk about, was the rather cool project. Can you explain a little bit about the concept without getting into, like, you know, Trek
speak? Techies?
Yeah.
Basically, Star Trek, the way it's set up, it can be analyzed more mathematically than some other CCGs because you can establish this very direct correlation between missions and what skills are required by those missions, and then personnel and what skills those personnel require. And this isn't really accounting for the abilities that are on a personnel that you might want to have in your deck, but just from that raw perspective. It also doesn't account for dilemmas. But what you can do is take a look at an affiliation. For example, say Cardassian, and you can say, here are all of the Cardassian or non-aligned or any affiliation may attempt missions. These are all the missions that a Cardassian deck could conceivably have access to. And then you can go, here are all of the Cardassian and non-aligned personnel. And then you can establish a correlation. You can say, how many missions require this skill versus does this personnel provide that skill? And basically, you can set up this formula, which Brian has done, that kind of tells you who the best personnel in each affiliation are, purely from a standpoint of if you randomly pick 4 Cardassian missions, which you wouldn't do, you would focus. But if you were to randomly pick 4 Cardassian missions, here are the 4 Cardassian/non-aligned personnel that would be best for you.
That's right.
And
he's gone through and he's done that for every affiliation. He's done that for Klingons. He's done that for Feds, DS9.
Right.
You know, all the
he's in the process of
all the different homeworlds. He's working on that project.
And again, it's you know, this isn't the end-all, be-all, because certainly there's enough variety within most of the affiliations where you can choose other mission selections that just do not use the skills of these most popular people, and then your deck might look very different.
But on an average, he's found out who the most valuable skill-wise personnel are for each affiliation.
So it has, you know, good uses for design. It kind of gives you a tip-off in the general, you know, sense of how you might start building a deck. It's pretty good info for like a draft situation or something. So.
The thing that I thought was very interesting about it, he said that, you know, in the past we had all these 1 and 2 skilled characters, and we were trying to find a way to make them more useful, and, you know, so on and so forth. So we came up with assigned mission specialist, which made them more useful, but made them too useful. So what this will show us and let us do is find out which of those characters are kind of less useful, and then either tailor dilemmas or tailor missions toward those people so that it brings their status up some. Right.
It kind of lets us make the main characters feel more central to the affiliation as well, and that's in every rarity because, like, for example, there are 2 Jean-Luc Picards in Premiere. One of them is a starter card, and one of them is a rare, and they have very similar skills. There's only a little deviation. Same with Shinzon. There's a starter and a rare, and they have only minimal deviation in the skills. So we can look at this and say, here are what the formula says the top 10 personnel in that affiliation are, and our main characters aren't on this list, so we better make missions that call for those skills, or whatever your particular desire might be. So where are you going with all this, Kyle?
Well, I thought there were some interesting things. He could look at it 2 different ways. He could look at it from an overall. Basically, he went through each mission and said, okay, this personnel contributes 1 skill towards solving this mission, or 2 skills. There were some like, there was one Cardassian guy that contributed like all 4 skills required. In Abrantane,
he is incredible.
He had a great average.
Yes.
He had, in his matrix, he had the 2nd highest percentage.
Right.
The only one being higher was not a Cardassian, was a non-align.
And this is kind of by design. I mean, we didn't set up the formulas because things were shifting around too constantly for us to, spend the kind of effort that Brian's spending to here develop a formula, and then for us to suddenly have something change and have the formula not make sense anymore. So this is really the first time it's being spelled out mathematically. Brad and I were originally kind of writing using our little, divining rod Ouija board sense of what probably makes sense and hoped that the right people ended up as stars of the affiliation. And certainly in Abrantane's case, it worked out.
Sure. The other one that I thought was really interesting was Julian Bashir. Julian had a very high average. In other words, he provided skills like a good percentage of the time to missions, but it wasn't really a good percentage of the time. He only provided 22 total skills, throughout the entire mission. In other words, his skills would only help 22 times out of like a possible 50 or 60 or whatever.
Right.
So, but the times that he did add his skills into the mix, he added like all of them.
Right. He typically provided more than 1 skill.
So exactly. So he had a high average but a low mission count, basically.
So interesting ways to look at that if you're into statistics.
Brian basically had 4 cards, and he said, these are the 4 cards that are the superstars of the game right now. So I have those 4 cards right here.
Now, these are not aligned, right?
It's really interesting because non-aligns, these 4 non-aligned cards tended to be toward the top in both adding skills, total skills, and percentage-wise.
For multiple affiliations.
For all the different affiliations.
That he's done so far.
Sure. As a matter of fact, one of them was number 1 in 3 of the different affiliations.
Crazy.
Which is Joe Brill.
Yeah, Joe Brill is kind of good.
Joe Brill is basically the god of the game.
I'm very glad that he is the one assassin currently in the game that has no built-in assassin text. There's about 5 or 6 personnel in the set that have the keyword assassin, and then they have text that's very assassin-like. They all can be returned to your hand to kill a specific kind of personnel present. That's sort of like the assassin theme. He doesn't do that. He still has the assassin keyword, and that will mean something eventually, but his text is not related to that. We decided it was more important to tell you can shoot him, with a phaser, death becomes her style, and he'll still keep coming at you.
Sure. His skills...
But his skills are incredible.
His skills are incredible, and that's what gave him such a high percentage and all that stuff in solving missions.
Right.
But then his game text is also incredible because he can't die easily.
Not easily, no.
So he just keeps coming back, and he's always going to be helping you out. So Joe Brill was number 1.
Yep.
I believe Tosk was number 2.
Tosk is very, very good.
He was always up there as a personnel that is just going to help you blow through, and solve as many missions as possible.
That's kind of this convergence of... We knew that Tosk had been an eagerly awaited character for quite a long time, especially by Kevin Reitzel. My God. Every single set for the last 4 years that, Kevin comes up, is Tosk going to be in this set? Anyway.
He's in the set.
He's in the set, and he's good. And it wasn't just a question of us making him deliberately good to be worth the fans' wait. He is an interesting character, which is why, he was so looked forward to, and he had a nice skill variety in the story, and it translated to a
very powerful card. Also, making the top 4 was Serova.
Right.
Serova. Don't know much about her character, but hey, she is a very key card when
powerful
building
engineer
any deck.
type. Another reason you're seeing a lot of non-aligns turn up in these high numbers is we wanted to have almost every skill. We didn't want super skills, which is a common slang for people who have 2 or more of a certain skill, like 2 honor, 2 physics, whatever it is. We didn't want that to be a Fed-only thing, as it often seemed to be in the first edition. We wanted super skills to happen all over the place, and especially non-aligned. And we deliberately combed all of Star Trek, at least the parts that we were taking personnel from in Premiere, to find somebody that would logically have 2 of every skill, or almost every skill. I mean, there's no one that has 2 officer, no one that has 2 acquisition yet, but this is why we found Serova, because she would have 2 physics and I think 2 astrometrics as well.
2 engineer and 2
engineer and astrometrics. Excuse me, but anyway, she's a powerful engineer type.
Yep. And the 4th one. Now, this one didn't rank like in the top 5. Like these other 3 ranked like right up there in like the top 5 or so in every affiliation. But this one ranked somewhere between 10 and 15. But her game text is the kicker that kind of puts her over the top, and that's Kamala.
Yeah, she is.
Kamala is right up there as being a mission solver and all around useful character. But then her game text, saying that she can basically get any one skill she wants from anyone else around her, kind of puts her over the top as a super solver.
Now the thing is, you have to remember to use her skill.
Yeah.
And this is such a joke for us right now around the office and in the playtest room. There was a time when we referred to the Star Wars CCG, we had this joke about how we would get T-shirts made that instead of saying, they're
4-strain for one,
that it would say 4-strain. Don't forget to 4-strain. So this is don't forget to use Kamala's text. So the big joke for us is like you'll start a mission attempt and then there'll be this pause and somebody will go, you know what the smart players do? They remember to use Kamala's text. So anyway.
Right.
Now, the ones you just named all are rare, but it is worth pointing out for those who are concerned that all the power cards are up in the rare realm that there are a number of very strong commons that also ended up on this list. For example, in the Cardassians, Rogesh, who is a common personnel, showed up in the top 10, and so did Parn, I believe. These are both 5-skilled common cards that the Cardassians have. And because there are a lot of 5-skilled common cards scattered throughout the game, those guys often will show up in the top 10 or 20 of an affiliation. Rabal is a non-aligned common that is very high. He kind of, he's pushing Serova's text, and just the fact that she has a couple of skills that she has double rather than just one, that she puts her a little over the top. But there's a lot of very strong common cards as well.
Well, I think the only reason these people made it and basically have everybody kind of talking about these 4 characters in the group is because they're not aligned and they can be played with all of the different affiliations, which kind of makes them that much more important.
They keep on showing up on every list, but because we no longer have to stick common universals with 1 or 2 skills or whatever, they can get just as many skills as a unique rare character would have because cost is a balance and they get extra abilities and all that. Anyway, bottom line is there's good commons too that are showing up on this list.
Absolutely, and the good commons are going to be cheaper to get out as well.
But these guys are definitely they are strong.
They're good cards. So.
Yeah.
And that is basically what I want to talk about today.
Wow.
Sounds fun?
That was good.
I also wanted to let those people know that Kevin Reitzel and myself are going to be going on vacation to California, and we're doing another big wacky tournament in California.
Oh, this is that gunslinging thing you do every year.
Yeah, it's a bounty tournament. Basically, we're going to be at Squeeze Play in Tustin, California on December 22nd.
Okay.
That's Sunday, December 22nd from, I think the tournament starts at noon.
This is a Lord of the Rings
and it is a Lord of the Rings booster draft, fellowship draft tournament.
Okay.
And basically anybody out there that beats Kevin or I in the tournament gets a box of 2 Towers cards.
A box?
An entire
I think that's more than last
of
year.
2 Towers boosters.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, That should be very much fun.
I think you'll have some people turn out for that.
I hope so. I'm just wanting.
Best part is you don't have to prepare for it either. It's booster draft.
Exactly.
Well, actually, I should stand corrected. You don't have to design a deck.
Yeah.
If you want to do well at booster draft, there is preparation.
Sure.
And this is another one of the things that Brian and Jeff have talked about a lot. They have had a lot of time playing booster draft because this was an extensively tested product, and there's things you should know when you play booster draft. There are cards that you need to watch for in every set that are like must drafts, so to speak.
There's some great articles right now up on dgma.com talking about booster draft and what to draft and what to look out for
and those kinds of strategies. And if you want to beat Kyle and Kevin, you'd be well advised to go read those.
Absolutely. So wanted to make sure everybody knew about that, so we could have a great time out there in Southern California and play lots of games and have a good time. Go Lakers! I'm sorry, I threw that in there.
I heard that.
All right.
So what else? The spoiler going up today, as we mentioned. So check that out. And other than that, we've rambled on for a rather long time, as it turns out.
Well, I got to say that that spreadsheet that Brian's working on upstairs was really fascinating.
Crazy,
It was kind of really cool looking at it. Is he going to do one of those for dilemmas as well and find out who are the big dilemma solvers?
I don't know. I dilemmas will be somewhat more difficult, I think, because a lot of the dilemmas
are way
have
more
multiple
specific.
outs. Well, they have multiple outs, whereas many missions have only one set of requirements.
Sure.
But there was instant and obvious value in what he's done so far for missions and personnel, so I'm sure we'll ask him to do dilemmas and see what he can do.
Now do dilemmas.
So anyway, it will be quite useful in helping us design the next two sets.
Excellent.
Which, in case you missed it when I did a chat about a week and a half ago, May 2003 is Energize, and September 2003 is Call to Arms. Those are the Star Trek sets for 2003.
Nice.
There you have it.
Excellent. All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining us here on RFD, and we will talk to you again next week.